what makes DCOIL different from traditional institutions, sir?
A lot of students don't understand how the global markets behave. There is a gap. There is a gap between industry and what academia is delivering. Real estate is something which fuels all the other businesses. So you have to understand that data to make the right decision. A lot of projects, a lot of bad name which has come to real estate because of the fact that data was not the fuel.
So, Mr. Paul, what gaps does this program fill in the industry?
For Indian real estate to grow, for that matter, for any sector to grow, you need skilled professionals in that sector. 20th or say 2 decades from now, Indian real estate is likely to twice the size of Indian GDP today.
Good morning, everyone. Today, we have two most visionary leaders with us. Two powerhouses, one mission to redefine industry led education. Welcome to the podcast with the visionary leaders of DCOIL and IREED, where we dive deep into the journeys of visionary leaders shaping the future of education and industry. Welcome, Akshayji. Welcome, Paul, sir.
Thank you.
So, Akshayji, I want to know, let's talk about your journey. When did DCOIL come into the, the picture, and what was the vision behind it?
So I think working in the industry for nearly 15, 20 years, what I realized was that generally the management degrees which are happening in the country, they are, and we talk about general higher education, it is becoming more and more theoretical. It is getting detached from what the industry wants. And that is when DCOIL was conceptualized in my mind that we should create something which is highly industry focused. And that is the vision behind creating this entity, which by its name says that it is occupational and industry linked learning. So we always want to be closer to the industry. That's the requirement of today. That should be the requirement across education. Higher education has to be very ROI driven, and that's what has prompted us to come with that vision. And multiple people have joined this vision now, and it is becoming into fruition, which is great.
Fine. So, what makes DCOIL different from traditional institutions, sir?
So there are a couple of things I would say. I'll start with the pointers. I think one is the first thing which I feel is that there is a lack of role models for the students, and that is where the industry mentors play a very important role. Now, if you are studying from a teacher who has been an academician, your role model from that academician would be to do research, to be in the research domain. But that is not where the real value is today, right? So our education system has to understand that we need to create role models which are coming from the place where the student wants to be, and that will carve out the journeys for many people to come into the fruition when they come into play, and that's where the first part is. The role models need to be very strongly built in. Second part, which I think is very important, is how do we connect the industry and the academia. So that's why we are focusing on industry tracks. I think we are building industry tracks like real estate, like digital business, like fintech. These are the industry tracks we focus on alongside the specialization which are there in the MBA. That is the second part of it. Third, which is very integral, is if you think about it, what is the main purpose of getting an education? It is an experience and exposure. हम अगर एक छोटी जगह से आते हैं, एक छोटे टाउन से आते हैं, नॉट ऑफ पीपल कम फ्रॉम दैट बैकग्राउंड, राइट? तो चैलेंज क्या होता है कि ना हमने दुनिया बहुत छोटी देखी होती है. जैसे हमारे हिंदी में कहावत है कूप मंडूक, राइट? तो आपको लगता है यही दुनिया है, यही एक्सप्लोर कर सकता हूँ मैं. जब आप एक इंटरकल्चरल वर्ल्ड में आते हो, हमारे ना स्कूलिंग एजुकेशन अंडर ग्रेजुएट टू सम एक्सटेंट ऑल्सो इज वेरी होमोजीनियस. आप अपने जैसे लोगों के साथ ही पढ़ रहे होते हो, अपने जैसे लोगों के साथ ही बात कर रहे होते हो. But when you come to a PG program like ours, you get to a heterogeneous group. So first exposure तो आपको ये होता है कि अलग अलग लोग क्या सोचते हैं, right? Second exposure, as we said, industry mentors से exposure मिलता है कि उन्होंने कैसे carve out करी अपनी journey. तीसरा, in the part of the journey when we are doing the course, there are multiple levels of exposure. So we have IIM immersion, so people go to IIM for 5 days, learn there with the professors. We also have rural immersion, which we call as rural yatra. So people go to villages and understand what are the real groundwork problems, right? So I think that gives them a great amount of exposure. Third, and which is also very important, is that a lot of students don't understand how the global markets behave, right? And a lot of business today is driven by global markets. In my career, I have worked with at different geographies. I've worked in Dubai, I've worked in Southeast Asia, I've worked
Correct.
with Europe. So until you understand the nuances of their culture, you're not able to create a comfortable zone that I can work in that space, right? So that's why we are also very strongly building global relationship. We have global immersion as a part of the course. We want to promote even semester exchange as we go forward. So there has to be global exposure at this level so that people can build a global career. So I think these all things combine into an exposure, and obviously there are industry visits and multiple other things. The whole playground for these 2 years will be to have multiple angles of exposure.
That's great, sir. So, as someone leading a fast growing educational institution, what's your vision for the future of DCOIL?
So I would say let's take one step at a time. The vision is very, very big. We want to change the way education is treated, especially higher education. We want to make it more effective, more ROI driven, as I already said. We want to be very industry oriented. The vision would be to impact as many students as possible. I think if we can build this into something where we can create value for a lot of students, a lot of companies, because there is a gap
Yes.
between industry and what academia is delivering. If we can bridge that, that is going to be the most important thing in the development of this country. And education is one of the strongest pillar which leads to the
Actually,
eventual development. Our GER is at 27-28%, which is very low as compared to the developed countries like US would have a 75% odd, and Europe would have been in the same 75-80% kind of a bracket. So the GER of India is nearly one third of what there is for
US.
Europe and America, which are the developed nations. If we compare it to China, also China is around 55%. So we are less than half of
Of
what
China.
China is. And people don't realize that higher education, or the gross enrollment rate, plays a very significant role in the development of a country. That determines how many people will be able to create value at a certain statutory level, right? We have to come out of the trap of being a low income group country. So education is the only and the fastest way of getting liberated from it.
liberated.
So I think the vision is, if in to put it in a nutshell, the vision is to get effective education to most number of students possible, and to create uh, development for the country with education.
Fine. Thank you so much, sir. So, the next question is with Mr. Paul. So, Mr. Paul, looking back at your journey, what were the key moments or dots that connected and led you towards IREED?
Okay.
To create IREED.
Okay. So of course, this comes out from my experience in the real estate sector, and I was quite fortunate that I got an opportunity to work in UK. I observed, so this I'm talking about almost 16 years ago, and the processes they that which they follow, the methodology by which they get a realtor into the sector or into the industry. So these are all seamless. And what is the result? The result is the investors or the buyers, they are being given the right kind of information. They so they are being suggested or advised the right product for the right need. So which leads to industry where there is less amount of trust deficit, and they follow a rule of law. So it was there in UK. Then I started working in various companies in India. My last job with one of the most premium development companies in Gurgaon. And I've learned a lot in that organization while working with my peers, colleagues, seniors, and of course the founder of the organization. And I started to firmly believe that we need to create a system by which we a system which will help to build professionally skilled workforce for this. Now, I have seen how when India was opening up during the 90s and when the IT industry came into being, India had a similar challenge. Suddenly, a lot of jobs, opportunities came our way, but we did not have so many engineering colleges, so many MCAs, and so that was I have seen how what the industry did. And what was the initiative which was jointly undertaken by the academia? And from here on, we all believe that India is likely to be a maybe 8 to 10 trillion dollar GDP in next 5 years. Round the corner. And जैसे प्रधानमंत्री कई बार कहते हैं विकसित भारत by 2047, which is another 23 years. So if we have to get there, real estate is going to play a very crucial role. And if this sector has to play a crucial role, this sector definitely we will see a lot of investments coming from overseas. We will see a lot of new buyers, buying properties, new ways and means of investment, which is REITs is another one. For one to explain all these processes, we need skilled resources, and that's the theme, that was the objective of IREED. Like Akshayji just mentioned. So for IREED, it is Institute of Real Estate Education and Entrepreneurship. So our focus is somebody who's looking to enter this sector as an employee to work with an organization. There are ways and means, there are parameters that we have taken care of. If somebody wants to get into this industry as an entrepreneur, of course, there is a different route for that,
Right.
and we are taking care of that.
That's really great, sir. So, what basically inspired you to, to step into the real estate education space, especially?
So, if you see, I did not start my career in real estate. So I spent almost half of my life in IT. So from there, when the economy started to grow, new opportunities started to come into India, which is what attracted me, and I got into. Like me, there are many other my friends and peers who are today working in different organizations at the top level. Most of us we are not from IT. We have Most of us we're not from real estate. We have got into real estate from different other, possibly because we did not have the option. There was no structured education. There was no college who was teaching real estate. Now there is a need for it, and thus we're just trying to blend it for a student from the beginning.
So, and this is the kind of, you are just fulfilling that gap between the academia and the industry.
In a way, yes. We want people who first people can think of real estate right in the beginning of their career, and real estate is encouraging a lot of people to get into this sector. So it's an effort to stitch our education with the professional requirements for the person to perform, to be able to produce results in the industry once he gets employed or once he starts his own entrepreneurial journey.
So, sir, what was the biggest challenge in building IREED and how did you overcome it?
This is a very pertinent question, and we are often being asked. एक वक्त था जब लोग बोलते थे रियल एस्टेट में कुछ पढ़ने की थोड़ी ज़रूरत होती है, देयर इज नो नीड टू स्टडी. तो एक तो ये माइंडसेट है. So we had to break that mindset. Yes, when we look around, whether it is US, Europe, Singapore, Dubai, Australia, New Zealand, in countries where you cannot get into real estate unless you study for about a year, you qualify the exam, and then only you can become a professional realtor. So likewise, what I envisage in next few years, there are ways and means by which government is trying to. RERA is one such example. Government is also trying to bring in a lot of policy reforms. So अगर हम अपने आप को उस डायरेक्शन पे तैयार नहीं करें, तो हमारे लिए मतलब इंडस्ट्री को वो चैलेंजेस रहेंगे ही. So to avoid that, of course, the kind of innovation that is happening in the industry is mind blowing, and we just want to bring that what is happening in the industry to the students right at their college level.
Great, sir. So much, sir. So, Akshay ji, now the next question is with you. As you're shaping the next generation of business leaders, so what inspired you to take on this role into DCOIL?
So I would like to kind of understand this from a lens that what is happening is that the industry is moving at a very fast pace. Like every 2 years, the transformation is phenomenal. In fact, if you equate, and then someone said this, I don't remember, but last 10 years will equal the pace of growth for the last 100 years before that, right? So every 10 years kind of outpaces the last 100 years to that. So that is how the growth moves, right? It is going to be an exponential growth. What is happening is with the people who are coming into the business domain, they are not getting understanding of the new age businesses. They're getting understanding of structures which are old, which are good because that builds the base for the student, but they're not understanding about the new age businesses. Now, if I give you an example, if we go back to 2000, right, and we look at what were the top 5 companies which were there in the charts, the stock charts. uh, if I have to mention 3 of them, I think one would be ExxonMobil, which was oil-based company. Then there is Walmart, which was into retail, and alongside there were companies like AT&T, which was into telecommunication. There were
Hardware.
companies like
Motorola hardware.
Motorola and hardware, IBM in the software domain, right? These were the companies at that point. If we now come back to 2025, today, Apple it kind of leads the pack. In telecommunication, AT&T is now shifted. The AT&T's market share is now shifted to Google and Facebook, right? Communication is now determined by these companies, Google and Facebook. If we talk about manufacturing, in manufacturing, the transformation with AI has led Nvidia to become one of the top 5 companies in the world, right? This is the change which is phenomenal, and these are all digital business changes, right? Uh, Walmart is now giving space to Amazon because Amazon is the leader in the stock market. Who would have imagined this 20 years
Amazon
back?
would-
That this is the reality. Like digital
True.
business could outpace all the other businesses, right? So that is the motivation that we need to be, and it's not just about one stream or one line of work. The industry tracks keep on evolving, right? And the beauty is that we can be at pace with the industry, and we can teach things which are relevant today rather than talking about something which was relevant maybe 20 years back. And that is what led me to kind of uh, work on this. That is also what motivates me to build a group of people who can come together and tell them about the new age things which are happening in this domain.
That's really great, sir. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Paul, real estate education isn't a controversial path?
Uh, if you look at it from my point of view, it is not. It is rather much needed. For someone who, let's assume that a realtor who's not skilled or not educated from that domain, and yet he is generating significant revenue, for him, it is difficult to convey that real estate, there is some sort of education is needed. Right? But on the contrary, if you look at, there are hundreds and thousands of people working in this sector, and there is a trust deficit between the service provider and the buyer. Now, the deficit of trust is a reflection or is a result of maybe because of lack of knowledge or lack of the right skill set, right education. We at times end up making promises or commitments which are not in line with the laws which are well laid by the government. So our idea is not only to, our idea is also to make people responsible towards this.
Okay. So, what actually made you choose this field, and what kept you doing continue?
Okay. Uh, so like I said earlier, I started my career with IT. I was in the pre-sales all my life. I've been selling IT solutions in various parts of India, outside of India, Far East, and then I spent significant time in UK. It's while I was traveling in all these places, I one thing I consistently observed that all these countries, they had brilliant infrastructure. For some unfortunate reasons, because of our red tapeism or issues that I don't want to dwell today, we had our own share of challenges. This I'm talking about the late 90s. Now, all these countries, the European countries or the Far East, due to their brilliant infrastructure, real estate was a crucial part or a crucial aspect of the economy. As India had to grow, or as the economy was expanding, I had, and I still believe that infrastructure will. So India cannot grow without infrastructure.
True.
As the infrastructure grows, real estate will.
Great.
With the growth of GDP, real estate will play a significant role as a contributor to real GDP growth of India. So hence, IREED and the association.
Great, sir. So now this question is from both of you. From your years in leadership, what are the most important lessons you have learned? So, Akshay ji.
I'll let Baswati start on this.
Okay.
Okay, what I have learned is something that I have achieved in 20 years could have been done in 10 years. Okay? If I had the right skill set, the right education, the right know-how, and this sensitivity to the rules of a certain industry. Now, I strongly believe the younger generation today, if they are given the right education, if they are given the right kind of industry orientation, if we are able to create a platform where academia students interact with the industry leaders,
Industry.
it is not only inspiring, it is also it will make them believe that it is possible. Okay, so once we are able to create a situation or an ecosystem where a young student today he believes that he wants to be or she wants to be a leader in the growing real estate industry, there is nothing which can stop them from becoming the leader. So that's my point of view. Akshayji, now
No, I think very, very rightly said. I think if you have the right map, and today if we don't use Google Map, uh, you would take go to like A to B. If you want to go, you will take 2 hours, and if you are using a map, you will take maybe 1.5 hours. Why to waste that half an hour?
Right.
So we have to move out of the thinking that we need to not use a right tool. We need to be more efficient. I think efficiency is the best way to create value. So, like Paul sir really rightly said, that if we don't follow that direction, it will be very difficult. And if we follow direction, 10 years could be good enough to do what we can do in 20 years. Agreed. I think alongside what my understanding has been on the leadership space is that partnerships and networking are essential to success, because a single person's vision or single person's idea cannot lead to dramatic changes. It has to be a vision which is shared by multiple people. And a good when we are discussing it together, I think the partnership which IREED and DCOIL has built is a first step to building many more partnerships like these, many more relationships, which can fulfill the vision of getting right education to and right higher education to all the students and getting them the effective results from this education. So I think, in short, I think networking and partnerships should be the play from the beginning itself, and that is part of the curriculum also, that we want to teach students how to build a right network.
Great. So, to both of you again, if you could give one piece of advice to young professionals and students, so what would it be?
uh, okay, since I have spent significant time in real estate and I have come to learn that the student, if he has self belief and if he takes up a certain route, so he should be prepared well, because the competition from here it's only going to get fierce. The competition is not going to go down that's a remote possibility, not. So once you have decided, and if an industry or a sector which has a huge base which offers such significant opportunity, he should be prepared well. He should have self belief. He should be educated and skilled well for that, so that his growth is not a matter of chance, but his growth can be a factor of his hard work. So he should not leave anything to chance. That's my.
So, what's your idea?
We talk to a lot of students, and what we realize is that people generally wait for that one eureka moment when they will realize that this is the thing I want to do, and this is the mission in my life, which never happens. I think up till date, it is. I would say that it is still to happen, and it will not happen for me. I am completely sure now that eureka moment will never happen. These are all things which will teach you lessons over the period of time, that which is the right way and what is the right direction to be in. So what my understanding is that, and I'm a great believer of this book called Atomic Habit, where they talk about 1% improvement every day,
Improvement, right.
right? I believe that you should keep on working, improving on yourself, try and explore as much as things possibly you can. There is someone which is there, God or whatever you call him, right? Nature, if I have to point it that way, which will show you the right track. So I would say keep on improving yourself, keep on getting the right guidance, right mentors, and you will find the right track. And the good thing is that when we were studying, we had maybe like 5 gates to choose from. Today, those 5 gates have become maybe 500, right? So those gates, when there are so many gates, you need the right gatekeepers to guide you. So I would say that follow the guidance from the right gatekeepers, and I would also say this, that those right gatekeepers would be the people who are working in the industry, who are entrenched in what is new, and that cannot be separated from success. So I think that is what my take is.
Absolutely. Well,
Absolutely.
just I'll try to kind of build a simile. It's like real estate or construction from mud houses to my one.
Right.
It has possibly taken 2000 years.
Yeah,
हम
True.
पहले
बिल्कुल.
मिट्टी के घरों में रहते थे, आज हम माइवन कंस्ट्रक्शन के घरों में.
Right.
बट वो जो पैराडाइम है, सो इट हैज टेकन ऑलमोस्ट 2000 years. So students who are trying to look at a certain industry, they must be prepared well. They must know, the scope that they can really make well. Or it's not about meeting ends for a student. It's about how much can he really grow, because the world is now, it's one market.
One market.
Aj in NRIs are there all over the world. So unless you are prepared well for a subject, you will not be able to reach out to them, establish trust, and then do your job the way you are supposed to be.
Supposed to. So, Paul, sir, as IREED has introduced India's first MBA in business analytics and marketing with specialization in real estate management. So, do you really think that this will work in today's market?
I think this is, I think this is the most crucial aspect, which is not only going to work today, but it will also prepare the students for the future. So, so let's put it down in three different parts. One is the MBA in business analytics. So what is it? अब आप देखिए, we are talking about AI, we are talking about various aspects of Power BI.
Power BI, right.
How comparisons have become easy. Properties or real estate in a certain market, real estate in a certain zone, real estate in one country vis-a-vis other countries. How things have changed. There was a time when real estate contributed almost 36% of GDP in China. अब मेरे पास ये अगर figures हैं, only then I will be able to compare it, right? So in the business analytics part of it, the student will be exposed to a lot of understanding. They will get to deep dive into this subject. Marketing, of course, marketing का तो impact. So whether it is conventional marketing,
Right.
or digital marketing, or various, the way technology has impacted our marketing. जो हमारे पुराने मीडियम थे, it has completely changed.
Right.
आज भी मान लेते हैं कि टेलीविजन्स हैं, बट देन हाउ मेनी पीपल गेट टू वॉच दोस टेलीविजन. जैसे में ऐड आता है, आप
Right.
चैनल स्विच कर देते हैं,
True.
राइट? सो बट वाइल यू आर वर्किंग, you might just come across hundreds of YouTube ads or meta ads. So the platform has changed. Students will get to learn that. Now real estate is the fundamental, or is the subject on which the students will get to learn and implement their learning into that particular sector. So मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये तो बहुत ज़रूरी है. अगर हमने आज यहाँ से आने वाले 5 साल या 10 साल की जर्नी सक्सेसफुली ट्रैवल करनी है, we need outstanding, brilliant young students to get into that sector. वो अपने innovation अपने साथ, they are exposed to so much of technology today. तो वो अपने इनोवेशन को इस सेक्टर में लेके आए, और किस तरीके से वो अपने लिए अच्छा कर सकते हैं. एंड सच पीपल, वेर एवर दे वर्क, दे नॉट ओनली वर्क गुड फॉर देमसेल्व्स, दे ऑल्सो कंट्रीब्यूट सिग्निफिकेंटली फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन that they work.
Organization. So, sir,
I
what
just
gaps? Yeah,
want to add
sorry.
to this. I think see, data is something if missed out, right? Especially in every sector. I think real estate also. If data is something which you miss out, you will not be able to take the right informed decisions for future.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
business analytics becomes such an integral part as a business which is actually growing at a phenomenal pace. Right, we are about to become a $1 trillion
Dollars,
dollar
right.
value for the real estate in India,
Yes,
which
just
is
a couple of years,
Right.
by 2030.
and real estate is something which fuels all the other businesses. So you have to understand that data to make the right decision. A lot of projects, a lot of bad name which has come to real estate because of the fact that data was not the fuel.
So, Mr. Paul, what gaps does this program fill in the industry?
For Indian real estate to grow, for that matter, for any sector to grow, you need skilled professionals in that sector so that they are able to understand the changes happening. For example, if we do not, if we are not able to get our people skilled in AI, imagine what will happen in the AI revolution, which is likely to happen,
Yeah.
and it is there.
Right.
Completely.
So if this case is true for AI, I'm sure this is true for real estate as well. If India has to grow, so if Indian GDP has to grow at a speed which our Prime Minister Saab has, promised to the country in next by 2047, we aspire to become a developed country. By 2047, Indian real estate itself is likely to be a 8 to 10 billion sector. Imagine the in next few years, or maybe about a turn of the 20th, or say 2 decades from now, Indian real estate is likely to be twice the size of Indian GDP today. So can you see the potential in this sector?
Exactly.
Can that happen without skilled workforce? अगर हम आज तैयारी करेंगे तब हम वहां पे
जाके।
पहुंचेंगे, अदरवाइज हम उसको अपने आप पुश बैक और पुश
बिल्कुल।
करें. तो वो तैयारी हमारी स्कूल्स, कॉलेजेस और हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज से निकलेंगी, जहाँ पे ऑल दीज डेवलपमेंट कंपनीज. सो इंडिया हैज़ few of the largest companies now in the real estate space, whether it is DLF or Shobha. There are so many of them. M3M is a new player in this part of this country. They are growing at such a frantic speed. हो सकता है कि हमारे ही कंट्री के जो रियल एस्टेट डेवलपर्स हैं, इन नेक्स्ट फ्यू इयर्स फ्रॉम नाउ दे माइट फाइंड स्पेस टू शेयर देयर एक्सपीरियंस इन द अफ्रीकन कॉन्टिनेंट. हु नोस? ओके, सो वी नीड पूल ऑफ स्किल्ड वर्कफोर्स जिसकी तैयारी हमें आज करनी पड़ेगी, एंड दैट्स द गैप दैट वी आर ट्राइंग टू वर्क अपॉन with association with DCOIL.
Great, sir. So, sir, how will this MBA create, career opportunities for the student?
देखिए, इस क्वेश्चन के दो एस्पेक्ट्स हो सकते हैं. एक एस्पेक्ट तो अक्षय जी आपके साथ ज़्यादा बेहतर शेयर कर सकते हैं, दैट एज अ कॉलेज DCOIL में हम क्या क्या पढ़ाते हैं. स्पेशलाइजेशन के सारे एस्पेक्ट्स DCOIL में पढ़ाए जाते हैं. एंड जैसे DCOIL हमारा फोकस यह है कि ऑक्यूपेशनल एंड इंडस्ट्री लिंक्ड लर्निंग जो हम पढ़ें उसकी यूटिलिटी हो इंडस्ट्री में, वेदर इट इज़ थ्रू अ जॉब और थ्रू एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप और योर ओन स्टार्टअप. तो ये जो हमारा एसोसिएशन है, बच्चे को हम तैयार करेंगे एक ऐसे सेक्टर के लिए जहाँ पे उसकी होलसम ग्रोथ होगी. सेक्टर की ग्रोथ की कोई डाउट नहीं है. वी ऑल बिलीव दैट द सेक्टर इज ग्रो. ओके, गवर्नमेंट के भी इनिशिएटिव्स लिए जा रहे हैं. देयर हैव बीन सिग्निफिकेंट पॉलिसी रिफॉर्म्स इन दैट लाइन. नाउ वी आर लुकिंग फॉर द आइडिया इज नाउ दैट वी आर लुकिंग फॉर अ लार्जर पूल ऑफ टैलेंट. एंड इंडिया तो इस दुनिया की यंगेस्ट कंट्री है. तो अगर हम अपने यूथ को ट्रेन नहीं करेंगे कितने बड़े सेक्टर के लिए, तो हम आज नहीं तो आगे चल के हमारी ग्रोथ अपने आप स्लो. तो क्या हम पहले ग्रोथ अपनी स्लो करें फिर प्रिपरेशन शुरू करें, या अपनी प्रिपरेशन को इमीडिएटली शुरू करें?
Right. Exactly. Thank you, sir. So, Akshay, sir, from DCOIL's perspective, how is this MBA different from traditional business programs?
I think I'll just add to, and then I'll start with where Bhaswarji mentioned about what is required, right? So I think what is required is that we need to be at pace with what the industry demand is. Which are the industries which are becoming more and more, which have a great growth rate, which are crucial to the economy. We need to identify them and then kind of work around what the education should be. And good part is that today we have the freedom of doing education in the way we want it to be. So that is also changed with NEP. So kudos to the government for doing that. Now coming to what are we doing which is different? There are obviously specializations. There's, as you were mentioning, specializations like marketing, finance, IT, business analytics, HR, all of them, public policy. So there are around 9 specializations to choose from. Having said that, our focus is on industry tracks. So what we've identified as industries of growth are digital business. Digital business, when I say, has had last 7 years to 10 years, the CAGR has been more than 10%. The growth has been phenomenal. As we rightly said, that the number of companies which are in the top 100 or the Fortune 500 companies, and nearly 30-40% will be now digital based. And this digital revolution is not just to the digital companies, it is extending to all the companies.
All
So
the
there is so
companies,
many opportunities available. There's a lack of skilled talent. AI being part of it becomes even more a phenomena which will, AI itself, if you talk about AI itself, will double the GDP of the world, not just in any specific country in the next 5 years. So that is the potential of this new technology, as it was with computers and IT way back in 2000, maybe in 1990s, right? Similarly, real estate, right? For India, the real estate revolution has just started. It has just begun the phase of structured development. So the horizon is very big for the country to be developed. The focus on structured growth has to come from structured education. So I think that is the second place which we are focusing on. Third is the financial services or fintech, if you were to put it that way. How can we, this is a space which again is getting revolutionized. It's in conjugation with digital technologies, but in itself, finance is something which was lacking in the country. There was access to finance was a big challenge. Now there's so many companies which are providing general finance to people who were not able to get that, and that was stopping the growth of the country. So fintech is a space which will grow again phenomenally, because access to credit is something which was missing, and now it has become easier to get credit. So I think these three spaces are which we have identified as industry tracks, and that is where the difference is, that we will keep on identifying the industry tracks which are going to create more value for the students and the industry, and we will keep on talking to industry. We will have an open dialogue with them regularly to identify which are the areas we should build our students into.
If I can add, like the three different MBA programs which we are focusing at DCOIL, डिजिटल बिजनेस आने वाले 5 साल 10 साल 15 साल में डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी इज गोइंग टू बी द फाउंडेशन फॉर द ग्रोथ ऑफ एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन irrespective of their particular business vertical.
Right.
So we have taken that initiative. We are trying to line up the industry. We are trying to build an interface between the academia and the industry. That's one. Second is fintech. आप जैसे सर ने बताया, देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन हमारे यहाँ पे स्टॉक मार्केट्स में, अगर आई जस्ट टेक एन एग्जांपल, हमारी रिटेल इन्वेस्टमेंट कितने लोगों की थी, आज धीरे 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 विद द यंग इंडियंस
Investors,
और
yeah.
यूथ, यू नो, दे हैव स्टार्टेड टेकिंग इंटरेस्ट. तो आपकी इंटरेस्ट इज नॉट एनफ. योर इंटरेस्ट हैज टू बी गाइडेड एंड सपोर्टेड बाय
Right.
राइट काइंड ऑफ स्किल सेट एंड एजुकेशन. सो दैट्स व्हाई फिनटेक ये ग्रोथ ओरिएंटेड है. अगर हमारे, जस्ट इमेजिन, अगर इंडिया के स्टॉक मार्केट में अगर हम अपने 6% रिटेल इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ा के अगर 10% या 20% तक ले जा सके आने वाले 5 साल 10 साल में, तो ये जो आज हमारी डिपेंडेंसी है FIIs के ऊपर, वो काफ़ी हद तक हम उसको सब्सटैंशिएट कर पाएंगे. हर रोज़ ही बात होती है टीवी में
Right.
और मीडिया में. एंड थर्ड इज़ रियल एस्टेट. इफ़ इंडिया हैज़ टू ग्रो, अब वी ऑल बिलीव दैट जो डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प, President Trump has done, and with the tariffs that is going to be implemented
place.
from the 9th
Right.
of April. So if America is going to implement tariff against Chinese products, I'm sure Chinese government has also come out with their
Tariffs, yeah, they have.
notice that they will
Yeah.
implement retaliatory tariff from 10th. तो ये जो global uncertainty बढ़ रही है, India is in a sweet spot where हमें लगता है, because of almost our, almost 75 to 80% dependency on the internal consumption,
Right.
this economy is going to grow, and we all believe. तो हमारी जो growth story है for the real estate sector, construction industry, ये बिल्कुल, it has to grow at a certain level. तो जो need है,
Right.
for student to take that decision कि वो पढ़ाई तो कर रहा है 2 साल, after that what? तो हम उन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए जो DCOIL में जिस टाइप के प्रोग्राम्स हम लोग लॉन्च कर रहे हैं, वो उसी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से है कि बच्चे को पढ़ाई करते करते हो सकता है कि 24 महीने के प्रोग्राम में 18 महीने वो पढ़ेगा, और लास्ट के 6 महीने इंटर्नशिप वो इंडस्ट्री में ही कर रहा है.
Industry. Get a
And
real time exposure.
Absolutely. And at the same time, industry also gets an opportunity कि जिस स्टूडेंट पे वो 6 महीने की इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हैं एज एन इंटर्न, इज ही वर्दी इनफ टू बी इन्वेस्टेड फर्दर? इफ इट इज सो, देन मतलब उसका career path और
Yeah.
it gets blasted.
Right. That's great. So, Akshay ji, what kind of exposure and opportunities will students get?
So I've already kind of mentioned a few things, but I'll make this more detailed. So the first thing is we are talking about an exposure from the industry. I think the first thing which is more foremost is that industry mentors, ideally more than nearly 50% of the education will be industry mentor driven. So you will get exposure to case studies which are from the horse's mouth. Right? Like when we're talking of an example of an Amazon growth story, a person from Amazon is here to kind of tell you that story. We're talking about how to be better at Meta. Someone from Meta is at the campus talk
Right.
about it, right? There's nothing better than that, right? There is realism to what we are teaching, right? Secondly, on the exposure from the front of geographical exposure, we look at starting from the rural yatra. We look at people to be entrenched in what are the real problems of the country, because there's so many problems. The opportunity in this country is great because there's so many problems yet to be solved. In a developed country, the growth rate is at around 1% because
2%, yes.
Right.
most problems are nearly solved now,
Solved,
right?
True.
yes.
So we have a great scope of solving problems. So rural yatra helps in doing that. We then moving on, we get to a phase where we do a lot of industry visits. They get to the shop and understand how the business works, how the economics of things work, right? That is the second part. There are so many clubs which students become part of. Thirdly, we talking about an IM immersion. This is a way to build alliances with institutes who have expertise in case study building. So I think the case study based learning, which kind of IM will impart. And the fourth one, which we are talking about, the global immersion. So basically, they get exposure to the global market
Market
today,
as well.
so that they are prepared when they're getting into the industry. They are not in a doubt that how the global market works. I don't understand the cultural dynamism. There is so much difference in cultures, right? Agar you're working in Dubai, you are not expected to. There is a and it's a very strange story. So when you're working in Dubai, there are different hours for different nationalities. So a Emirati would work from a certain hour to certain hour. A European would work from a certain hour to certain hour. An Indian would work from certain hour to certain hour. Justified, not justified, is a different question, right? But you need to understand that cultural diversity,
Culture as
right?
well.
You're
Right.
expected to do that. When you go to Indonesia, example, the culture of meeting there is not just about meeting. It is about having a meal together, having to discuss things together on a meal. So they do meetings more in cafes and more in restaurants than in the office.
Offices.
So you need to
True.
understand
Right.
that. You don't need to be feeling that they are. Why is he asking me to come to a cafe? Why? Matlab, this is just nuances. I'm saying short nuances, but
Right.
you need to be comfortable with the fact that every person will behave differently, and I have to adapt to it, right? So that what comes with the global exposure. Obviously, the knowledge and everything is alongside with all these experiences, but exposure about firstly to unlearn things, to break the stereotypes which we have in mind, coming with an open mind, learning new things, and experiencing new things is what this program offers. And one more thing which I want to talk about is about the opportunity to work with the industry. We want a student to experience industry in multiple ways. So they will work on live projects. They will work on a winter internship, which is a WIP. They will work on a summer internship, which is a SIP. All these chances increase your chance to get a placement, right? These are
Right.
all gonna lead to a pre-placement offer or a pre-placement interview,
Exactly.
right?
Right.
And then finally, we plan to have a kind of छह महीने का
Internship.
apprenticeship.
अच्छा,
Apprenticeship.
apprenticeship.
And finally, we want to give the student an opportunity to do a 6-month apprenticeship at an industry, and that could lead to them securing a final job.
Finance.
So I
So
must
all
say,
these,
like, this will be a great opportunity for each and every student.
yeah, it is going to be for sure.
Right. So, where do you both see this program in next 5 years?
Okay. Let me add one initiative at DCOIL taken, which is about the incubation that
Right.
DCOIL has started. Just imagine, day before yesterday, or just few days back, possibly, our Commerce Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, was at Startup Mahakumbh. It was a fantastic event, and he has laid down the target for next year's Mahakumbh, the third startup Mahakumbh, and he has given certain targets. But what did he say this time? उनको कोई तकलीफ नहीं है अगर हम हिंदुस्तान में स्टार्टअप बना रहे हैं आपको खाना डिलीवर करने के, तो हम हिंदुस्तान में क्या डिलीवरी बॉयज़ एंड डिलीवरी गर्ल्स की फ़ौज तैयार करना चाहते हैं? आप अगर वो करके भी एक यूनिकॉर्न बन सकते हैं, ही सेड आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम्स। अगर आप हिंदुस्तान में केक बना के ज़ीरो कैलोरी का केक बना के आप लोगों को खिलाना चाहते हैं और उसमें आप यूनिकॉर्न बनाना चाह रहे हैं, वी हैव नो प्रॉब्लम्स। एट द सेम टाइम वी आर कंपेयरिंग विद चाइनीज स्टार्टअप्स जहाँ पे वो एआई एंड रोबोटिक्स में यूनिकॉर्न बना रहे हैं। क्या हमें लगता है कि हम उन यूनिकॉर्न्स के साथ कभी कंपेयर कर पाएंगे, compete कर पाएंगे? तो क्या हमारी तैयारी उस डायरेक्शन पे है? ये हमें अपने आप से पूछना है, हमें इंडस्ट्री में अपने आप से पूछना है, एकेडेमिया में हमें अपने आप से पूछना है, क्योंकि हम हर बार हर चीज़ ब्लेम उनको नहीं कर सकते। We have to create an ecosystem where the student seeps into the ecosystem and takes the right path. Now, at DCOIL incubation and at our initiative that we are taking at IREED is, what is it that we expect from the student? We want him to be successful. Now, how is he going to be successful? Unless he understands the industry, whether it is construction or the changes in construction happening. There's so much happening in real estate. How infrastructure is contributing towards the growth of real estate. How and why so? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की वजह से, हमारे रोडवेज की वजह से हमारी जीडीपी में कितना परसेंट का फर्क पड़ रहा है? आवर कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट, उसमें 14% फॉर एनी कॉस्ट ऑफ अ प्रोडक्ट इन इंडिया, 14% कॉस्ट ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट। यूरोप में शायद यही कॉस्ट जो है वो दैट्स अबाउट 8% या 10%। सो इट क्लियरली मीन्स दैट देयर प्रोडक्ट विल ऑलवेज बी कॉम्पिटिटिवली प्राइस्ड विज़-अ-वी इन इंडिया। अब अगर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में गवर्नमेंट इतना स्पेंड कर रही है तो क्या उसका कोई बेनिफिट रियल एस्टेट में है? इफ सो, क्या हम वो चीज़ अपने बायर्स या फ्यूचर इन्वेस्टर्स पे कम्युनिकेट कर पा रहे हैं इन राइट सेंस? या जहाँ पे हमें 2 पैसे की बेनिफिट हो रही है हम सिर्फ वही चीज़, और क्या बायर कोई प्रॉपर्टी इसलिए परचेज कर रहा है कि सेलर को फ़ायदा है, या वो इसलिए परचेज करता है कि उसको क्या फ़ायदा हो, राइट? सो सी इट्स नॉट अबाउट कि हमने रिफॉर्म्स के 2 लॉ पढ़ा दिए, ठीक है, प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफ़र एक्ट आपको पढ़ा दिया विच वाज स्टार्टेड इन ड्यूरिंग द ब्रिटिश राज। तो 1892 का लॉ है जो आज भी हम फॉलो करते हैं। हमारा काम वो पढ़ाना नहीं है, हम वो पढ़ाएंगे एज अ फाउंडेशन, बट वहाँ से लॉ का क्या इम्पैक्ट है, आज गवर्नमेंट ने जो चेंजेस किए उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट है, वहाँ तक लेके आएंगे। तो जैसे अक्षय सर ने राइटली ही सेड दैट एट एवरी स्टेज वी आर ट्राइंग टू इन्वॉल्व द इंडस्ट्री, वी आर ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग आउट द कैपेबिलिटीज और द at capacity building amongst the students, and we are trying to help the industry to be seen as a role model. आप किसी इंसान को या किसी सेक्टर के लीडर्स को एज अ रोल मॉडल देखना शुरू करेंगे तो आपको उस इंडस्ट्री के प्रति यू फील मोर अटैच्ड। हम सब जो गुड़गांव में है, आप ये मान सकते हैं कि कोई गुड़गांव में हो और वो ये कहे कि हमें डीएलएफ नहीं पता, राइट? इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल। सो डीएलएफ विद देयर हार्ड वर्क, विद ओवर 75 years of engagement in the industry, Mr. KP Singh who started this along with his father-in-law perhaps, so आज वो कंपनी कहाँ तक पहुँची है? तो आज सिर्फ बात, हम जब डीएलएफ की बात करते हैं, it's not about DLF alone, it's about what Mr. Singh, the challenges that he faced. हो सकता है कि वो challenges आज हमें गुड़गांव में ना दिखती हो, बट हो सकता है कि वो challenges हमें हिंदुस्तान के किसी और पार्ट में दिख रहे हो। So what are the actionable items that a student or a company should be taking? So at least we are trying to bring in those familiarity amongst the student at his formation days. ऐसा ना हो कि उसको हमारी तरह 10 साल 12 साल पहले किसी और इंडस्ट्री में काम करना पड़े और फिर वो आके रियल एस्टेट में काम।
तो आपका क्या सोचना है इस बारे में?
So I think first thing is that opportunity, or when we talk about occupational and industry linked learning, the focus is on outcome, and there are generally 3 outcomes which is any education can do. Before that, even the first principle of education should be that education should remove illusion. I think that is what education should do. It should remove the mistiness around you. Generally, real estate की बात कर लें या digital business की बात कर लें, any other businesses, right? there are so many different what you call as misnomers which are there in the industry, which lead to so much misguided transactions, information, and that leads to disbelief. Right now, if we even talk about real estate, right? There is a negative connotation to real estate just because of the fact that there wasn't people who were educated and equipped in the space.
Right.
It was anyone could have become a realtor, right? And that led to that delusion, right? If that wasn't the case, real estate would have been from the beginning. It would have been very regularized and very
Right.
structured, right?
True.
So education has to break that clutter which is there in the market, and that clutter is available or is existing in all the different domains. So we need to firstly create that clutter off. Now coming back to what I was talking about, the three outcomes. So, and I'm trying to kind of break a myth again here, saying that the three outcomes: one is employment, one is job, second is entrepreneurship, and third is research. Like there are three different outcomes which come out of education in general. I would want to break this to the people who are gonna join. See, for every one entrepreneur, there would be at least 30 people who are working. So, in a batch of 120 or 180, which we will have, I would expect that 80% of the students will be in the job. And it's a good thing. There's nothing wrong to it. You don't need to only build your dream, you can build someone else's dream also. Around 5 to 10% will be in entrepreneurship, 5 to 10% will be in research. Ideally, as an institute, we should have more and more entrepreneurs, and 10% is a very ambitious number for both the domains. So why I'm saying this is because I want to do the expectation setting from the beginning itself. We want to be very outcome driven. We want to be focused on either you build something or you work for someone who is building something. So I think that is what our vision is.
So, all right, before we wrap up, let's do a quick rapid fire round. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Also, one book that changed your perspective.
Okay. The cash flow quadrant by
Any routine you swear by?
me.
Any routine you swear by?
Get up early in the morning, do your
Great.
reviews, and then
And if not in real estate education, what would you be doing?
transactions, real estate transactions.
So now, Akshay sir, what leadership quality do you admire the most?
I think empathy is something which I admire the most. Empathy is not just about being good to others. I think it's about understanding the vision of your leaders. It's about understanding the peer group, how to work with them in a way that it is competitive, yet it is healthy for the business. And then the third thing is to be to be understanding or to be inspirational for your the people who are under your leadership, so that you can share your vision with them and let them follow it.
What business trend do you think will dominate the future?
I think everyone knows this. AI will be the business trend which will dominate the future, at least the recent future. I think on a longer term, I would say that the one thing which will be defining the human civilization as we go forward is going to be around interpersonal skills, and I think that is something which people generally miss out. We focus a lot on technical skills, especially in India. So interpersonal skills is something which will always stay relevant as we have more and more technology. People with good leadership and good interpersonal skills will be successful.
Fine. A personal mantra you live by?
To follow your dreams, to always keep on doing what people think is not doable. That is something which I follow.
Thank you so much, both of you.